What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. Bye, singing dog. Bye, goal.
I pronounce you.
Bye, wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figure it out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hey, it's 1:02. I'm actually late for my own show. I greatly apologize about that. But I think my guest is actually not going to be calling me in for another 60 seconds. So before I forget, I wanted to remind everybody of 2 different things. First of all, I'm going to be doing Rink's show today. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing The Actor. Let me just double check here, and I apologize that I'm not prepared here. Donnie Bentley is going to be coming on the show at 11 o'clock. We're also trying to work out an arrangement where I could interview Nicholas Brooks, who happens to be a Sammy Davis Jr. impersonator in Las Vegas. And there is also the potential of having a third, which would be Jana Ella Summerfield, and her job is a fashion designer in New York City. So it is possible we might be doing a 3-way interview tomorrow just because of the fact, and this is a reminder to everyone, next week, starting the 17th all the way up until the 30th or the 1st of July, I will be doing no radio shows, no live interviews, and no Blog Talk radio shows. So sorry for any inconvenience there, and I'll be coming back on air probably the first week of July is what it's looking like. But make sure that you watch the page either on Sim's Chat Corner, Sun Spotlight, or Sim's Canadian Connections to try to find out if and when and where I'm going to be at as far as the radio goes. So without further ado, we're going to get Rink L Finish on the line. I'm very, very excited to be hosting him. I'm always very excited and flattered when one of the local musicians comes onto my radio program. And why? Because not only are they my friends, but they're local musicians who, in my humble opinion, do not give nearly enough media exposure, whether it's television, print, or otherwise. So one of the things I'm most impressed about is the fact that I'm able to give them a platform by which to showcase their music and their talents. So without further ado, let's talk to Rink L Finish and see what's going on in his world of music. Hello, Rink L Finish.
Cindy. Hi, Cindy.
How are you?
I'm just wonderful. It's such a beautiful day.
I know, right? Are you in the
hot
tub talking today?
The sun, no, I'm not in the hot tub. I do hot tub videos, though. But I don't show anything really below. I don't show anything really below the areola. I keep everything above the areola. It's illegal to show. It's illegal to show areola in public, and I think that maybe somebody, if I showed my areola, I think people would probably want to report me.
Yeah, and they do that. They actually Facebook or people over stuff like that.
There is a lot of that going on. There's no question about the fact that there is a lot of that going on. I know several people that have been suspended from using their Facebook for, 90 hours or 2 days or something like that, or I don't know what they do for you, but they shut you down for a little while. They don't like that. So yeah, well, it isn't because there's a lot of people on there that really shouldn't be on there because they're not socially mature enough.
That was very well put. They're not socially mature enough.
You see, but I didn't say that on people. I didn't say that on Facebook, though. I didn't type that out. I had one rant on Facebook. If you want to talk about Facebook, I had one rant on Facebook that said that something like social media is just that, social. If we can't be social, we shouldn't be doing it. That kind of thing. So it was. Sure. I could read it to you, but I'd have to find it. There's so much has happened since that particular point in time. It's many things have passed. Do you have a format? Do you want to go with? Do you have a question you want to start me out with? Or?
When you stop talking, I'll ask you questions.
Okay.
So I've written up a interview. We're going to talk about your life.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Oh, not a problem.
Go ahead. I'm ready to answer questions. Ready to answer questions.
Okay, so Let me tell people this much, of course. To those of you that don't know, of course, Rink's career started back in the 1960s, probably before I was even born, actually, because I wasn't born until 69, which I
you
find
weren't even a twinkle in your father's eye.
Exactly. Thank you very much. So this is my first question to you, and I want you to address this because, of course, we live in the day and time now where things such as The Voice and programs such as that launch the careers of people. And obviously, because you're back from the 60s, you know, the way you built yourself up and the way that musicians do it now is very different. So I want you to talk a little bit about how technology and some of these new innovative theories have kind of affected how popularity in music becomes either easier, by utilizing these formats. And then second of all, just the course of music itself in terms of, talk to me a little bit about how what's going on with the live music? Why is it a dying art, if you will? And I don't mean just in Wisconsin, I mean in general, and you're the perfect person to ask.
Well, let me first start out with the first part of your question. Back in the day, you used to have an 8x10 glossy and a promo package. And in those days, we used to give out cassettes. And a lot of guys back even before me used to give out 45 records because they would go into they would have to go into a studio, and studios were few and far between back then. Now, with technology today, everybody, there's a lot of people that have them in their house and in their basement, and or even live in their studio, which is a studio that I was in a couple Fridays ago. The guy lives like adjacent to his studio. Studio is actually part of his house. So,
right.
But he lives above a building, so it's more like a studio, but he also lives there. Anyhow, we used to have to give him. We used to go to people, actually physically go into places, and basically beg to get booked. But there were always agents out there. Now, I don't remember all the old agents, but there's quite a few agencies that have been around a long time. John Mangold and ACA and Talent Associates. A lot of those people have been around a long, long time, and they were the people that got them booked, got the guys booked. These guys actually had rooms. They had bars and live, and it was my room and your room and his room and that room, and I got this band. I got this stable of bands, and that's how it used to be. So you had 30, 40, 50 bands, and you had 5 rooms. Somebody else had 30 bands, and they had 3 rooms. And that's how you would work. And then they would also book you at festivals and things like that, just like today. Agents are not. They should be used more. Most people book themselves. An agency can get you in, but, in order to be with an agency, they really book you into some nice rooms and some nice festivals. You got to be really good. I mean, as far as talent-wise. Right. I mean, you really need to be talented. You really need to be polished. You need to have a good act because you're going to be going in front of the agency's reputation on the line in a room that they book. But it doesn't. It's not really like that as much anymore. Now what we're doing is I have gone to the internet on everything. I mean,
really?
I sent you. Well, yeah, I sent you files. Well, I finally broke down this year after all these years and bought myself a website, a domain. So I bought a domain, and domains aren't expensive. There's a lot of places where you can go to get them. I'm sure everybody knows where you can go to get a domain. But what's the development of the website and the hosting of the website? You have to have your website hosted. There's a lot of places that are giving you. There's a lot of places that are in business just to host musicians' websites. But usually, it's going to cost you a minimum of $10 a month just to host your website. So if you're not making any money, you're on a losing proposition, $120 a year right there, not to mention whatever it is for the deal. And a lot of local guys are working for $50, $60, $75. There's only a few really good festival bands that are getting more than that on a daily basis. But the local working musician, the guy that's playing on a Tuesday night, running an open jam, or on even on a Friday night in a bar with his blues band, people don't. The tavern owners can't afford to pay the money.
Right.
And that happens. So that's another reason. That's a part of the reason why you said something about a dying. I hate to use that word, about why the live music is dying.
I know.
That is part of the deal. People just don't have the financial motivation to get to be, to have that, to get to be that talented. I mean, to get to really work at it and go like, okay, well, this is my goal. Well, okay, I've gotten to play all these big bars, and I played at Moe's, and I played at I played at World of Beer, and I played at I played downtown, I played here, I played there, I played State Fair on one of the side stages. I played Summerfest on one of the side stages. But okay, where does it take you from there? Can you actually make enough money to support yourself as a musician? And I find one of the best ways that when back in the day when money was being made was parties and weddings. I mean, I one time was in a band that we did 40 weddings a year. But it takes a special commitment from a musician to do something like that. You have to basically not be a musician as much as you are an entertainer.
Okay.
And that's kind of where it comes around. I mean, so I can go out there and I can send emails to people. Hopefully they'll read them. I can stop in and meet people and and exchange business cards. And I can probably drop off a CD, which they won't listen to, okay, because they don't have time. Mm-hmm. Or I can send them a link on the internet where they can just go and they can see my biography. They can see they can hear my music, and then they know what I look like. They see my picture. Just like you got the information from my website as well. So that's kind of where I see it today, and I wish that the bar owner. I wish there were some nice rooms in town that could actually pay. There's a lot of nice rooms, but they don't run talent all the time. It would be so nice to have a room that was going 4 nights a week. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it would be so nice to have a room like that was going 4 nights a week. But unfortunately, the clientele in this town won't support it. But there are quite. Did I drop? No.
No. I can hear you. You're good. No, I'm still here. Can you hear me? Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I can hear you. No,
okay, good.
Seriously, the clientele that comes out to see the bands, there's not as much of a support group as there is. The people that are going out to see these bands are going to see the festival bands. So in the summertime, when the festivals are going on here in the north, in the Midwest, the bars are kind of slowed down. So that kind of cuts out the $50 a night guy, because the $50 a night guy has to put something together that he can get, that he can play for 3 hours and make $1,000 for a 5-piece band. and so it's festivals, parties, and weddings. That's the big deal. I mean, if someone was a huge, big country fan and said to you, "I'm a great country band and I'm getting married to the love of my life, and what's the best country band in town that I could buy for my wedding?" And they could get a really super duper country band that may not always do weddings, but still would be there and play music for their guests and themselves, and spend just as much as they would if they were buying a wedding band with 10 pieces and a horn section and and a keyboard player and a guy that looks like Frank Sinatra that sings like this. I gotta go to the bathroom now, so we're taking a break. That kind of stuff.
Sure. Sure.
So it makes a deal. So that I hope that answered all three of your questions.
It actually did, but so basically, if I'm listening to you correctly, and I'm sure you probably agree with this, that you think that social media has made a paramount difference in terms of musicians not only getting the word out there about gigs, but about themselves, and that it's almost a necessity for success in the music industry these days, is to be widely known across the web, I'm guessing.
Definitely, that's a definite yes. I mean, I didn't stress that enough. I know because I was waxing, nostalgic there for a long time. But yeah,
sure.
If you're going to do anything, you're going to have to get on the internet. You can't just tell me that you're off the grid, because if you are off the grid, then you're standing on the corner with your guitar case open, busking for beans and possibly a sandwich, and you haven't got a family to support or a home to pay for or a payment on a vehicle that you have to load your $5,000 worth of gear in to go to a $50 gig.
Right. Oh, sure. I get it. So, I totally get it.
Yeah. If you're not on the internet, I have a website that's rinklefinish.com.
Right.
And it's really easy the big keyword for that is thin ice. So like people say, well, what's wrinkle? Okay. Well, rink is spelled RINK. And that can be, and that's like a skating rink. So sometimes I can say to you, well, it's like a ice rink. Okay. And it's great because I'm from Wisconsin, so ice rink. Right. And then it became Rink L, and then Finish was something that there's an origin to that name, believe it or not.
Oh my God! Yeah. Look at that. That's really cool. That is. Now I have another question since we're on the social media thing. So let's turn the pendulum around for a second, and let me ask you. From a social media standpoint, have you utilized those forums and actually solidified gigs that way? Do you find that it's easier to communicate that way, or can you communicate that way with an owner to get an actual paying gig?
Well, I find not as much.
Okay.
I find it's a great introductory method, and it's a great way of letting people know where they can come out and have some fun. Because that's what we want. A lot of times that's what I want to do. Is I want to just go out and have some fun playing music, and I want some other people to have fun too. So then what I do is I run a show called Guests from Around the World, and that show is like an open jam session. But I hire a talented bunch of musicians, of course, not including me, of course. I usually work for free because I pay the musicians that I hire, and I pay them enough because and then I'll just work for cost. And anyhow, it's everybody gets the same amount. It's not like I'm trying. I try to say, well, I'm not. Here, I'm going to give you $30, and then people come in and they sign up on a sign-up list, and they get usually, depending on how many people are signed up, I usually like to give people at least 4 songs to play.
Okay.
I don't really like to. I don't keep a time limit. But what happens is if they play too long, then I'll call them on 3, but otherwise not. Because everybody that has come out there, a lot of the people that have come out there, and they buy drinks in the bar, or they have a soda or whatever it is. Some people don't. You just got to live with that. You have it's something that they're there to support and they're there to play. So you got to give them a chance. You can't just have one guy up there for an hour. I was at a place once, a guy was up there for an hour playing blues. I mean, nobody was stopping him. He just kept playing. That's a heck of a way to run an open. That's a heck of a way to run an open jam. So after that, I pretty much left with I picked my guitar and I left because
oh my goodness.
I had I drank a couple of beers and I'm going like, man, I'm not going to sit here and get drunk and have to drive home.
Right.
So I just, I've got I got a family.
Of course.
So,
No, I completely understand. That's why I figured I'd just throw that out there and just be like, okay, and see.
So you can be a real, party guy and be a real, happy-go-lucky guy and, whatever it is. But when you pack up the gear and you get in your car at night, you still got to drive home.
Of course.
So
no, I totally get what you're talking about.
Because there's people that are at home waiting for you, hopefully. All right.
Exactly.
So, I would say that without social media, you can't get as many introductions. And the other thing is, it's kind of like having the newspaper in front of you and going like, hey, look at this guy's got entertainment and that guy's got entertainment. I'm going to go in there and see those people, and maybe while I'm in there, I'm going to drop a business card on the owner. And that's basic. That's what you use it for. My website is geared towards sales.
Right.
But it's right now it's kind of in the form of a blog. So because that's the way my developers set it up using a certain thing. But I'm sure that things are going to be changing, and as always on a website, it's fluid all the time. I'm always adding and archiving stuff. So it's hopefully never too much for any one person to handle. Try to keep your videos under 2 minutes. Do you know how long 2 minutes is, Cindy?
Yes, I do. I do. I'm in radio, remember? So 2 minutes can go on for a very long time. Just saying.
Keep talking. It's only been 20 seconds. No, I'm just...
Smart
ass.
that's right.
I am
say that on internet radio. I apologize.
Yeah.
Okay.
I am a smarty pants. There's no question about that. Anyhow,
onward and upward.
I've been doing a lot of I've been doing a little bit of promoting lately, not basically for myself, but I've gotten into this new project that I'd like to talk about, if that's okay.
When we get to it, you can, but I'm going to stop you.
Okay. All right.
We have
Do we have a commercial
of these things on this show. No. We're going to move on to something different, though, because I'll take this in a progressive manner. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of your background, and we'll kind of get to the point where we're at. Okay. Now, I want to let everybody know that I know that you started out doing drum lessons first, and then, of course, switching to the guitar, and then over time there was a slow development of vocal skills. So first of all, I want you to talk a little bit about your experience in terms of, because I haven't really seen you play drums before, even to this day, because I've known Rink for a while now. So talk to me a little bit about the intricacies of, the drums are not something that everybody can play, as I've been told. So talk to us a little bit about your comfort level in that, and how the challenges that you experienced, as well as the triumphs of playing drums, and then what made you eventually want to switch to guitar versus sticking to an instrument such as the drums.
and either can I understand that. So,
okay.
The drums. I thought that the drums were going to work well for me when I was young, very young.
Okay.
And there was a couple of reasons why the drums would work well for me. The drums only had as many notes as you had pieces. So I mean, if you had a hi-hat, the hi-hat would be that note, and it would always be that note. And so basically, when I started learning drums, they started out teaching me how to read drums off of a sheet of music. And that's what you call a musician, a person that can pick a piece of music up and read it and play it. That's what I call a musician.
Sure.
That's how I started, and I thought, well, that's going to be easy because I only got 8 pieces, so I only got 8 notes. Well, that's going to be easy. You know, if I was on guitar, I'd have, how many notes would I have? I got 6 there times 22. Hold on a second. 6 times 22, that's, what is that, 144? I don't even know. I don't do math on the air. Anyhow.
132,
but it was 6 times, 132 notes. I would have 132 notes, that I could play on and I'd have to see it on the staff, and I'd go, okay, 132 notes. How am I going to play that? I kind of found out that you didn't have to learn that way. I stopped playing drums early on. Before I even got into any band or anything like that, because I didn't have tracks to play with. I didn't play with, every once in a while I'd play with records, but nobody had a stereo that loud, and headphones were like, you wanted to buy a set of headphones, they were like $200. Everything was it was the old days. I mean, things were not. There was no tracks. You've got a record, a record with a record player, and the speaker is like 6 inches. How can you play drums with that? You can't.
Right.
So I pretty much lost my will to play drums, and today I am. Sometimes I've sat down behind the drum kit, and I've totally, after about a minute and a half, I totally regretted it.
Wow.
So it was. I mean, I'm an awful drummer. Awful.
Wow. Don't ask him to drum, folks. Okay, getting off of the drumming thing. So then, my other question is this. Obviously, of course, you switched to the guitar, and of course, like I mentioned, your developmentalization of your vocal skills. Now, was that something that you were actually professionally trained for, meaning you went and got an education and got actual vocal training, or how did that come about?
No, and you can tell by how bad I am that I'm. No, just kidding. I sang in choir when I was in grade school or grammar school. I sang in choir. I was in a Catholic grade school, and I always sang in church. And there were high school had virtually no. There was no junior high. We went from kindergarten to 8th, K to 8, 1 through 8 at the same school. And during that first 8 years of my life was all my formal. I mean, as far as with vocals goes. I mean, those, and the rest of it just, I don't know if it's just that I listen to myself, or I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, and but I'll tell you what, I know when I make a mistake. So,
gotcha.
So I guess maybe I'm just listening to myself. People say I'm a good vocalist. I listen on, sometimes I listen on tape, and I don't necessarily hear that in myself, and or on a recording, and I don't necessarily hear that in myself.
Okay.
Some people say my live performances are really good, and sometimes I don't necessarily hear that in myself. So I'm very critical of myself, I guess, in the case of singing, and it shouldn't really ruin a good time, but sometimes it does. You know what I'm saying?
I understand. I do. I totally understand what you're saying. I can follow it even though I'm not a musician. I get the mindset. I get what you're talking about. I want to talk a bit about your vocals, because I know two of your prior jobs that people might not know that you did, and I'd like you to talk about. First of all, you used to be referred to as the singing bartender, which I think is really cool.
Oh, yeah.
And then I want you to talk a little bit about having played at a national sandwich chain for 2 years, which I didn't know either. All these little tidbits about you I found out. So talk a little bit about those prior occupations you had, of course, obviously, which integrate your singing skills a bit.
In my college days, I worked on the east side of Milwaukee, the actual east side of Milwaukee, and I was working for a guy by the name of Maury Katz, and he had a place called Maury's on Prospect, and he did some. Used to have fantastic crowds there, and he did some remodeling. And he kind of made a bar that he used, because he owned the building, by the way, and there were two bars on that corner. And then one bar that he used to lease, he made into a bar called the Celebrity Club. And that's where I did the singing bartender bit with a guy by the name of Pat Sheedy and Snowpeck used to come in there, and I'll tell you, some old people used to come in there, and there was quite a few. There was a gal by the name of Pamela Means used to come in. Willie Porter used to come in there and play.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but I used to mostly sing with Pat Sheedy and then Mark Paneer. As well. So, but Pat Sheedy's an accomplished songwriter, keyboard player, and Mark, of course, the late great Mark Paneer, which a lot of people know, famous, local guitar player and entertainer, and that's where I got the entertainment philosophy from Mark Paneer, because I've decided, by the way, and he used to give me a wireless microphone. Now, wireless microphones, this is the 80s, okay, so wireless microphones would just come in their prime, and Pat had everything. Pat was the son of a judge in town, so Pat had some cash laying around, and he had all the nice toys. So they handed me a microphone, and I started singing, and that's how I got the singing bartender thing going, and then I started after that. I started working with Mark Paneer on a regular basis as a part-time singer, I guess is all you could call me, because he didn't need any music talent, because they had plenty of music talent, and my music talent at that particular point in time was substandard at best. But anyhow, it doesn't really matter. So I just sang for him, and those are the 40 weddings a year that we used to do, and 15 odd appearances at Summerfest we had, and all the church, a lot of the church festivals, and we were booking through ACA. anyhow, and then so that's that story. And then the sandwich chain.
Okay.
In 2006, my good friend and mentor, one of my mentors, Mark Paneer, passed away. And he had cancer, and he passed away at a fairly early age. He's 48. And we did a couple of tribute shows at Summerfest in Milwaukee, thanks to Vic Thomas, who was Mark's good friend. He booked us in there to do tribute shows. And what we did was basically we did all of Mark's material, and we kind of had the guests from around the world thing going on because that was Mark's show before it was my show, guests from around the world.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I'm just kind of I'm kind of carrying the torch along with that. So we did that, and it was that tribute. But then after Mark passed away, I started doing the sandwich chain thing. I thought to myself, what do you do? Do you go? Do you stay or do you go? Do you stay in it or do you get out of it? I decided to stay in it, and what I did was I went out and I took my guitar to this to a Potbelly sandwich shop in Bay Shore town center, right? You know exactly where it is, and I walked in there. I walked in there before lunch one day, and I started, and I asked the manager if I could sing him a couple of songs. It was a live audition, and he hired me on the spot.
Oh my God! Really?
And I did I sang 10 songs, and he hired me on the spot, and I started next week. So I went home and I put together a song list, and I put together sheets and pages and all kinds of stuff that I could work off of a music stand and do because I had to play by myself. And at that particular point in time, I'm also playing the harmonica. So I'm playing acoustic guitar, and I've got a harmonica with a rack, a brace that goes on so the holder, a harmonica holder. So I'm playing the guitar and the harmonica at the same time at the sandwich shop. Yeah, and I did that. Those guys are out of Chicago, and that was a corporate thing. And the only problem with that is that you had to it kind of snuck up on me because at the end of the year when my taxes came due, they don't take anything out, they just give you a check. When your taxes came due, there was a lot of tax that was due on that money that I had already spent, and if I didn't have other gainful employment, I would have probably still be paying off the IRS today.
Oh my God! Look at that.
Yeah, so that's another. That's another thing. As a professional musician, you got to remember, you got to pay taxes.
Oh, of
it's
course.
Unfortunate.
No,
that's just the way it is.
That's just the way it is. I agree with you.
It was. But the one thing about that is that it kind of put me where I am today. Because it ramped up my solo skills, so I can actually sit down and do a show where I can go someplace and I can do a show do 3 hours without really worrying about it too much. I mean, I can just, I can do it. And it's so much nicer to have other people working with you. I mean, when you get like a percussionist is really good. I did that before. I had a guy call me and say, can you come up to Door County and do this because I can't depend on this guy. So I went up to Door County and all it was I'm playing with a percussionist, but I was doing all the singing and I was picking out all the songs. So you got to figure it this way. If I did that, I'd do 3 hours standing on my head. And basically that's what it was. It was like, it was like the last couple gigs I did a gig with another guy and a guitar player and whatnot. So I did this whole thing ended up being a really good solo experience for me and getting me, keeping me on my feet and giving me an outlet for something that if I want to pick up one of my acoustic guitars and go out to an open mic somewhere, which there are several, and I can go in there and I can knock off those 4 or 5 songs or 6 songs or 7 songs or whatever it is, and be entertaining on top of it.
Got it. Okay. Now, I want to ask you another question. Again, this is pertaining back to your roots prior to getting to where you are right now, obviously. I know that you're an attendee of Faber College, and you used to actually live in Clearwater, Florida. So I was intrigued to ask you, how did you and why did you make a move from going to Florida to living here in this beautiful, balmy Wisconsin weather of nice, 4 months of summer we get here?
I'm originally from here.
Okay.
And
gotcha.
I'm originally from here, and Faber College is fictitious.
Really?
Faber College is the college. Faber College is the college that appeared in Animal House, the movie.
Oh my God, it is.
So that I don't reveal my background. Yes, I'm Rink L Finish, the entertainer, and the personal musings of Rink L Finish are involved in everything that I do, except for the fact that my bio is pretty much true.
Aha. Okay, so I am at least sticking to most of the details, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, the bio was great. The bio was great. I mean, the bio was great, but I didn't embellish in the bio. in the bio.
Right. No, I understand.
And then Clearwater was nice. I was in Clearwater for. I don't even think, when I was down in Clearwater, I don't even think I had a guitar as a companion when I was in Clearwater, and that kind of made me. Oh yes, I did. I did have a guitar, but I didn't play it as much as I should. I probably would have been better off. But I did sail. I did some crewing on a sailboat down there, and I did some work for a guy down there in the automotive industry. So,
gotcha.
It was that's basically what I did. I didn't do any entertaining down there, although I know several people that do entertain down in Florida. Some very talented individuals. Yeah, I could go down there anytime, and I can go. I can just go down there to Florida. I can go out to Vegas and run into people that are entertainers, which is so cool. That's so nice that you can run into other entertainers, because you never know what might happen. You never know what you run into somebody that you know, and they can say, "Hey, I know this guy over here who's looking for a guy to do this as an entertainer," and all of a sudden, before you know it, you're working.
Right. And that's important,
and that's really
obviously.
It can be what you want to do. If you want to. Yeah, you want to hone your craft. You can sit in the living room or in your garage or in your basement, but the best way to hone your craft is to get out on stage in front of people.
Of course, and obviously, one of the things that I noted when I was looking at your biography and some of the things that I learned about you is also that people may not know that you do not only play the accordion, but you can also tune instruments. And so I wanted to ask a question or two about that. First of all, I've never seen a person play accordion, and I'm not lying. In 45 years, I've not gone to see an accordion player. So I'm wondering what attracts you to playing the accordion? And then second of all, tuning instruments, is that something that you just learned as part of your craft in terms of like you already play music? let me try this again. You already play instruments, so therefore you just learn to tune these instruments, or is this something you do on the side? Tell us a little bit about both of those.
Oh, you mean as far as tune them? You mean tune them up or work on them, or?
Correct. Tuning up in terms of actually working on instruments and tuning, because I've seen you
make
that's
more
that.
of a, it's more of a necessity than and a little bit of a hobby, but more of a necessity. But if it I've got an extensive electronics background and an extensive. I also have an extensive electronic manufacturing background, and so it goes kind of hand in hand. And with all I had to learn was the music part of it, and that's really pretty easy because I knew it already. It was just like, well, how do I relate this to that? How do you relate to, how the electronics and the music go together? Most of it's with electric instruments, choices of electronics that you put in your instruments and your amplifiers, and the adjustments of those particular devices to make it work the way you want it to work and make it sound the way you want it to sound. I'm not just a plug-and-play guy. I also work on everything that I have. And, I mean, if one of my friends needs some help, I'll work on that as well. I don't do it for a living. As far as adjusting and repairing instruments, but if somebody needs a hand and hasn't got a huge buck to spend and doesn't want to wait 6 weeks, hey, I know enough to do some things. If I take a look at it and I say, yeah, I can fix that, I usually can. But if I can't, I'll be the first one to say, I ain't gonna fool with that.
Gotcha.
You better take that over to John Blick or wherever else you're gonna go.
Okay. And then on the other flip side, the accordion. Talk to me about that. Like I said, I've never seen anybody do that, and I was intrigued on how complicated that is.
Do you have that? That cut do you have any of those cuts I sent you? Those music cuts? There's a cut on there called El Nino. El Nino.
Oh, yes. Okay.
I played the accordion on that cut, and that was a one taker. I did not have to, on that particular cut, I did not have to do it over. I did not make a mistake on that particular cut.
Okay.
I didn't have to stop, and we didn't have to go take two. Because I did not make a mistake. I did the solo, and as far as the accordion goes, it's all self-taught.
Wow.
And I just,
isn't that difficult to learn self-taught? All right.
How much do you, Cindy? Here's my philosophy. I only have to learn what I need to use.
Okay.
Do you get that? I only have to learn what I need to use.
Okay.
So I only have to learn what I need to use. So basically, you'll see a really good accordion player. Well, there's a couple of really good accordion players in town, and I'll tell you, they could take the whole night and walk around your nightclub or your wedding or your party playing accordion music for people and just wowing them. And it's kind of like the strolling musician at the restaurant, which you don't see that much anymore. There's a few places that have
right.
But mostly it's either ethnic, very Eastern European stuff, or it's Mexican. So anyhow, that's in this town. I don't know. Everywhere else is different. Anyhow, this is. I never had to learn, and I never have to learn that much to play what I need to play. I'll learn a song. I mean, if you have right now, I'm working on an accordion that's a 12. That's a 2.5 octaves. The keys. It's I can't remember, but it's got 12 bass buttons, and all I'm going to use it for is going to be playing an accordion solo in some song. Then I'm going to put it down and I'm going to pick up my guitar again and start playing again in a band. It's just one of those things that oddness abounds from time to time, and I do odd things. And as you well know, everybody from John Mellencamp all the way down to some of the great Zydeco players use types of accordion-type instruments in their music, and it's a very nice little addition in making a band sound different than everyone else.
Right.
That's why I play the accordion.
And that's why I asked. I thought to myself, it's not very often that I come across a musician that plays an instrument such as that. I find that very intriguing. I'd like to see that sometime. That would be really cool. I have another question for you.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm ready for your question.
This one, okay. Well, this is what I'm trying to find out, obviously. A lot of times when I interview individuals, they say that one of the landmark inspirations or motivations for them would be someone significant in their life. And I know that your father has passed on it, so I was just curious to ask, first off, was he a musician or did he have any musical talent he passed on to you? And second of all, are there just lasting inspirations or motivations that he gave to you that you keep with you to this day that make you a better musician?
I got two. I have. I'll start out with the last, answering to the last question. My father taught me to listen, and that's very important in a lot of things that you do. It doesn't matter whether it's music or anything else, but that's a learned behavior. And if you don't know how to listen, get off the stage. That's my advice. Okay, and then as far as influences go, my father didn't influence me musically. There are two things that influenced me musically that got me started. One of them was I had an uncle that lived down in Janesville, and my uncle had a combo, and it was like he played the drums. He had a nice old Slingerland kit, and I guess that was probably why I started playing the drums as well. So because we went down. We'd go down in the basement. He had his drum kit down in the basement, and he'd let us bang around on the drum kit. I also got started singing there. I used to sing. I think my first song that was ever recorded was "Good King Wenceslas," the old Christmas song. He recorded it on the tape recorder that he had, a little reel-to-reel recorder, and played it back. That was a funny thing. So my uncle. And his combo guys, which was a guitar and an accordion, mind you. They had this little, and they were all Italian guys. My uncle was Italian. And his cousin was in there, and there was another guy. And my uncle worked at Parker Penn down in Janesville, and the other guys were like Italian barbers. So it was like I got this combo of Italian barbers and a guy that works at Parker Penn playing the drums. And they used to play weddings and parties and things like this. And it was, they were, that was my exposure to music. And then the second prong of it was, of course, as with a lot of people, I'm pretty sure, was the British invasion. Or, in the 60s, when the British invasion started happening and the radio, rock and roll was starting to hit the radio a little more often, and what are these kids listening to, kind of thing, and everything else, and was a real big. So it wasn't, there were several individual musicians, but I have to kind of give props to the influx of this new music genre that came that descended upon us and took us by storm, and just was very very, very, very. It captured you, and either you went along for the ride, or you got caught, in the undertow. It didn't matter. So those were the things that did me. My father, the wonderful man that he was, supportive and being a good family man and everything else. He worked his tail off to help me be who I am today.
Gotcha. Of course. Thank you
as
very
a person,
much for that. I was
that
just
is.
curious.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, talk to me about Thin Ice Trio. Or I should say talk to your audience, because they might not. The Thin Ice Trio.
Oh, the Thin Ice Trio. Well, that's something we put together. I put things together. I mean, it's like some things need more work than others, and the Thin Ice Trio, although it was very interesting, it needed more work before we put it out on the street. And we only had one job. We only had one gig, and it's still available. It's myself, of course, and a lady by the name of Deirdre Fellner, who's one of the premier jazz vocalists in the area. And then there's we have a bass player that we use as well, and that's his name is Merle, and I agree it needed more work when it went out, but we only had one gig. I don't know if we're gonna have another one or not. The door is open to for rehearsals, but nothing's happening right now. So I believe that Deirdre must be busy, and if she is busy, that's fine. Her and I have been friends for. Deirdre Felder and I have been friends for 25 years, and I don't think that that's going to change our friendship at all, whether we work as the Thin Ice Trio or not. But we played one gig at Paulie's field trip, and it was a good gig, and we got paid, which was good. I'd like to work at Paulie's. I'd like to work at Paulie's again. But, he's off. Paulie's field trip is dark until September, except for Monday nights.
Gotcha. Okay, I got it. I understand completely. Now, I want to talk a little bit about you as a person, because a lot of times, or I should say oftentimes, musicians get looked at as, oh my God, it's a musician, and they don't have a real life with real, things going on in the real world and all this good stuff. So let me tell you a few things I know about Rink L Finish. First of all, he has a motorcycle, and it's a kick-ass motorcycle, which means he rides, which makes him way cool on my list. Second of all, he has a beautiful child. That rates him high on my list because he's a great father. Third of all, he did the ALS challenge in a suit. This has to be the first time I've ever seen anybody. I've seen tons of people do the ALS challenge, but you actually did it in a suit, which is really, really, really cool. Also,
entertainer. That's entertainment.
Well, exactly. The two things that I want you to talk about, which are also entertaining, one of which is entertaining, I should say, which is, of course, tell us how the invention of the Tub Talk came to being. And then second of all, tell us a little bit about, because most people may not know this, but you are a widower. So tell us how that lady love has an impact, or have you written about her or sung about her, or how has she kind of stayed with you, even though she's passed on?
Okay. I think I'll go back to the initial question, if I can recall it.
Okay.
What was the initial question?
The two things that I'm really primarily asking you about, the initial one being, of course, tell us how the advent of Tub Talk actually came to being, because most people may not know what your Tub Talk is all
Tub
about.
Talk Let me start there. Tub Talk was something that A lot of people do Tub Talk. If you go on the internet and you Google Tub Talk,
really?
or sure. If you go on YouTube and you look up Tub Talk, you're going to get all kinds of Tub Talk on YouTube. My web developer came up with that idiom, and so I just went with it. And there's also Rink Think. So that was just, there's Tub Talk and there's Rink Think.
Okay.
So
Rink
Rink Think. That's what I think about things. Tub Talk is kind of like, I do a lot of promoting in Tub Talk. Rink Think, I mean, my Memorial Day message was a holiday message. I did that from the tub, and I got studio lighting in the tub and stuff like that. So anyhow, that was my web developer's idea, and I went along with it. We were supposed to do a Periscope from that, or a Facebook, a Google Chat from that, or something like that, some kind of live feed. But it's pretty hard to put together because you need guests and you need a producer and you need so I'm going to need like 4 people. Well, I'm sitting around in the hot tub, and then we have to hire some models to be in the hot tub with me because I'm not attractive enough to be in the hot tub by myself. So you got to give people somebody to look at. So you need a couple of models. So it's kind of a it's kind of a pared down, expensive undertaking. What I've done right there. But so that's how that came about, and it was just like more or less a promotional tool. So I use it kind of to promote my shows, and
that's what I thought.
I'll use it to maybe throw a rant here and there, but mostly promote my shows. And Tub Talks are available at rinklfinish.com. That's RINKLFINISH, all one word, rinklfinish.com. And as far as my daughter is she's in 8th grade. She's graduating from middle school this year, and we'll see how things go with her. She's her name is Katrina, but she likes to be called Kane with a C. So I have to get used to calling her Kane because she likes to be called Kane. So anyhow, well, that's her deal, you know. And I'm letting her be herself in a way. I think my spiritual and my moral guidance has worked pretty well because she's not a troublemaker. She doesn't go out walking the streets or this or that. Not yet, anyhow. And she's 13, but still at 13 they're out walking the streets. You know, and I'm not talking about being. I'm talking about out with their friends.
No, I get it.
You know what I mean. Making trouble or hanging out or whatever it is. She doesn't. And if she wants to, I let her, But the whole thing is that she has. Sure. I believe in here's the rope. I'm going to give you this piece of rope. Now you hang yourself with it if you want to, but But let me tell you that if you hang yourself with this rope, it will be the last time you see this rope, and you won't be able to use it anymore because you would have hung yourself with it. So I'm not, but so she knows the difference between right and wrong, and one of the things about her is that she's very socially aware. So as far as there's a lot of things in the news and things like that, and she seems to be pretty much aware, and she likes music. She's what was her? She loved Bastille. Bastille was one of her favorite bands, and but she only laughs on bands, and she wasn't a real big fan of the Jonas Brothers, or she's not a real big fan. She's not a real big fan of Taylor Swift or anything like that. So she's really kind of out of the mainstream when it comes to music. So I kind of like that she's out of the mainstream when it comes to music. She's not really a mainstream person. She's more of she's already into the internet radio. Internet broadcasts are probably, I'm doing an internet broadcast right now, and I'm telling you, that's what she listens to. She listens to internet broadcasts, so good on her, because that's the future of you. And and if we keep using the internet,
be replaced.
If we keep using the internet to promote ourselves, that's the future of everybody. So we'll see what happens. I mean, radio, I have to cringe sometimes. Is that all I have? No. Entertainment is what I like about radio. There are certain things that are entertaining and certain things that aren't.
Right.
I used to listen to Chicago radio a lot. Chicago radio was very entertaining.
Oh.
Anyhow, and my wife has been gone since 2009, and my wife died of ALS, and I owed her the suit. So I did the ALS challenge in the suit because she died of that disease. And it was like I don't know, it wasn't like going to a funeral, but it was like whatever. But it was a tribute, and I felt to myself that I needed to be dressed up and do it. So I did it that way, and she asked me on her deathbed if I would miss her. And I told her that was a real hard question to ask, because we had been living apart for about 5 years prior to her getting sick, and after she got sick, to the point of where she couldn't take care of herself, I bought the house that I'm in now and moved her into this house with me again, because we were still married. We were never divorced, but we just were living apart. So we lived apart, and I just brought her back in and helped her get through her last few months of life, and in the right way. It was a tough ending for everybody, and she asked me if I was going to miss her, and I said I didn't know, and it was because, like I said, we lived apart. That is one question that I'll never forget. And yes, we do miss her. So, there you go.
Thank you. One of the other neat things about you I wanted to mention, I tend to do that on my show, because a lot of times, and I know that people don't always understand or believe this, but it's very true. To get to the real part and parcel of a person, you have to go way deep inside of them, and you have to go back in their history to get full circle to where you are now. So that's why.
Well, I agree with that, because that's who you are. That's who you are. Is what you do is who you become.
That's exactly right. You're absolutely correct. And now I don't want to forget to mention this before we start talking about Ronnie Richards, which is, of course, one of the big projects that you have going on here. I note that, and I thought that was so neat, that you played at the Wood National Cemetery recently for Armed Forces Day. So tell everybody about that. Is that something you do regularly in terms of playing military-type base things, et cetera?
No, I met a very nice couple, Bill and Tammy, and a couple of friends of mine. And Bill is a trumpet player and a bugler, and he does a lot of that. And as a matter of fact, right now, Bill and Tammy are in at Arlington National at the Arlington National Cemetery area around there on the East Coast. Because he goes there every year to play with an organization that he's with, which is Bugles Around America. He had organized Bugles Around America, had organized this little tribute for Armed Forces Day, and it's funny because we were the only ones there. And there was a few. There was a small group of landscapers that were working. And,
oh my gosh!
And of course, in our own little group, and we did this. And he invited me to do this tribute, and myself and a friend of mine. I sang the song that I sang at my father's funeral. And it's a Bruce Springsteen song. It's untitled. It's the last cut on the Magic album, and from Bruce Springsteen. And then Alan did. A friend of mine, Alan Williams, did an original. We were the only guitar players and singers there. Alan did an original song that was about. Armed forces, a person that went into the armed forces and made it home from the armed forces and went back to the love of his life and that kind of thing. It was a very nice, very touching song. Mine was more sad because mine's about somebody dying, but whatever. Okay. Anyhow, but it was it was Armed Forces Day. It's a memorial thing, so I kept it somber. So that was the story there. That was a very nice. It was a very nice little get together that we had with Bill and Tammy and a bunch of the guys from Bugles Around America, BAA, and they did a very. It was a very nice and touching situation. Another thing that brought a little tear to my eye.
Oh goodness gracious! Look at that! My gosh. Well, on a lighter note, let's have you talk about Ronnie Richards. Talk to me about that. Tell the audience about what Ronnie Richards is all about, formulation of that, and of the music, because I'm going to be playing one of the songs, actually. I have Outlaws USA on here that I'll be playing. But talk to us about Ronnie Richards.
Well, great. Ronnie Richards, I went to a bar that I usually go to, a tavern that I usually go to, and they happened to be having a Sunday open microphone or open jam, which is the once a month they have the Wisconsin Country Music Association. The WMCA has an open jam there, and I saw these guys playing there, and it was two guys, and they were using a drummer, I think from somebody that sat in, and I was listening to the music that they played, and I said, wow, that's really kind of haunting and kind of, interesting, because it was country, but it was kind of an outlaw-style country, and it was all original. There was no cover music that I was playing, and I haven't been in an original band, and I like original music, but I don't write it really well. But anyhow, so I said to him, I think I got upstairs, I said, where's your bass player? Oh, we don't have one yet. He said, do you play bass? And I said, well, I can play bass. Now, mind you, to be honest with you, I haven't picked up a bass for 2 years.
Okay.
So I went. They had me over for rehearsals, and I started up. So that's how I met these guys. And it turns out that the guy's got like 30 songs. He's got like 30 songs. And it's Ronnie Richards is not his name. His name is Cheetah Moon, and the other guy was Johnny Nova, and then I'm Rink L Finish, and then we have a drummer, and the drummer's name is Wolf. And so Wolfie and myself, and Johnny Nova and Cheetah Moon make up Ronnie Richards. So we are an original, and we are all original. We don't play covers.
Okay.
We're all an original. Okay. We're an all original country, outlaw style country band in the like Hank Williams III. I don't even know. I would say Lucero. There's a couple other bands like that, but it's the songwriting is good. I like it, and that's the reason why I'm sticking with them, because I was just down to talk to Vic Thomas down at Summerfest, and I'll figure if we don't work there this year, we'll be working there next year.
Oh, very cool. Nice. We like to
hear that.
So
I got a feeling that you're going to be hearing quite a bit. I was on River West Radio with this. The stuff was played on River West Radio on the at riverwestradio.com right now because it's internet. It's an internet radio station, and riverwestradio.com on their SoundCloud app. You can you can hear the music or hear all the Ronnie Richards music that we have. Right now we have 3 songs available, and that is on River West Radio on the Storefront Music Hour. So they have that on SoundCloud, so that's available. And you'll hear this one and the next one. So, that's Ronnie Richards. We're looking forward to. We're on Facebook at Ronnie Richards on Facebook. Ronnie Richards Band Musician on Facebook. It's a band musician page, entertainer page, and we're also on Reverb Nation. Ronnie Richards 6 on Reverb Nation. So we're all over the internet now. Not to mention my site.
Actually. Well, exactly. And now I'm going to let you be quiet for just 3 minutes because I want to play this song. It's entitled Outlaws USA. You can take a listen to this, folks, and you can get a sense of the music that he's talking about. So you just rest for a couple minutes and let's take a listen. I like it. I like it. I like it. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, because obviously most people wouldn't get a sense of that. And I don't want to forget to mention a couple quick things, because can you believe it? It's almost 90 minutes up already. Didn't the time just go like that?
Yeah, no, it's just wonderful. I really I've enjoyed every minute of it so far. It's been a very stimulating. It's been a very stimulating interview / conversation.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, I have 5 more minutes left, and in these 5 minutes, I'm going to do 2 quick things. And then when we get off of air, I want you to message me, because I want to tell you a couple quick things. But before I forget, I know you mentioned everything for the Ronnie Richards side of things. I don't want to forget to mention to everybody that Rink L Finish has 3 different places to find him. He has a personal page, and that's, of course, Rink, just like Ice Rink, and then the letter L and Finish. That's his personal page. He has his Rink L Finish entertainment page. That's also on Facebook. And then the actual website itself, which is wrinklefinish.com. Any other place people can find you on social media?
Of course, you can find me at the Ronnie Richards Facebook page, which is Ronnie Richards Musician Band. That's RONNIE RICHARDS. And you can always find me out in some of the local clubs if you're not. And I'll be at a few festivals. I went to see Sammy Lannis last night down at Wednesday Night Live, and that was a lot of fun. He's very, very good. I don't think that they're going to have a show that good the rest of the year there. I seriously don't. Those are the places that you can find me. I'm available. I answer emails. Information is there. You can send me an email. I love to talk to fans and look for. You got to look for Ronnie Richards. You'll be seeing that on my site as well as our sites. Once again, Reverb Nation. We're on Reverb Nation as Ronnie Richards. I'm on Reverb Nation as Rink L Finish. There's all kinds of good stuff going on, and hopefully we're going to be playing some gigs pretty soon with Ronnie Richards, and you'll be seeing us live and hearing us on River West Radio as well on the Storefront Music Hour, and those are the places that you can find us.
Wonderful. Now, I have one last thing to do in case you haven't listened to my show before. Most people that have listened in already know what the last thing is, and to me, usually that's the most important thing that I do besides do the interview itself, which is I get a minute for you to be quiet for the next 60 seconds or 2 minutes to tell you what I think of you, because everybody that comes on my show has to listen as I tell them what I think of them. So now you get your last
minute to say there and you get to listen. And why wouldn't you get that opportunity? It is your show, by the way.
Thank you. It is my show. Right, exactly. So,
thank you very much for having me, and I'm going to say in advance, thank you very much for having me, and I hope that I hope to see you soon in person, and have something to sip along with you. Thank you very much.
Well, you don't have to say thank you because I'm not done. Remember, I still got 2 more minutes here to tell you what I think of you. So be quiet and listen to me. These are my impressions of Rink L Finish.
You see how that works?
Thank you so much.
You see how that works?
Yes, I see how that works. Yes. So these are my impressions, and this is what all of you in the listening audience should get about Mr. Rink L Finish. To those of you who would not know this, and I won't disclose exactly how Rink and I met for the first time, but I have to tell you that my very first impressions of Rink, right off the bat, were he was 100% hands-on, friendly, face-friendly. And that's what I call it, face-friendly, which is an individual that you can walk up to, spend an hour or 2 with, and know automatically that you can have a connection to this person. He has a passion for every person and every project and everything that he does. He's the first guy to lend a helping hand when you need one. He's the first guy to give a shoulder when you want to lean on it. He's the first person that you can rely upon for a good song, for a good night, for a good moment, and for a good memory. He is professional. He is personable. He is an accomplished musician. He does not have an inflamed ego, and for me that's huge. Humility and honesty and integrity are 3 qualities that you possess that I admire the very most about you. I consider myself very fortunate to be your friend. I consider myself even luckier to be able to tell my entire listening audience that this is hands down to me one of the classiest musicians that I know in the Milwaukee area. And I'm not blowing smoke up his ass or my listening audience. Everything that I say on this show is true, and I am humbled by the fact that you graced me with your presence today on my show. And I'm looking forward to twisting your arm when we get off air to say, I want you to come and see me at this gig tonight. That's it.
Well, I am totally humbled. I really am totally humbled. And so
really?
so genuine, and maybe just a tiny bit over the top for me, but that's just me. You know me. I would rather. I'm so humbled by what you just said. I have to be. You know, I have to say no. That's not all true. No, but it's. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you very, very much.
You're very welcome.
You're welcome. And then we will talk about later.
Yes, in fact. Now get the hell off my show. I'm getting cut off in 3 minutes. I got to wrap it up. But thank you, honey.
Well, you wrap it up, and thank you very much. And don't forget, Ronnie Richards, man. You got to see him. All right?
Definitely.
I'll talk to you soon.
I look forward to it, honey. Thank you, dear.
Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
You, dear. Bye-bye. Folks, isn't he phenomenal? I want to one more time go through it. It's Rink L Finish is his personal page, Rink L Finish Entertainment, which is on Facebook as well, and then, of course, rinklfinish.com being the website. You can watch out for all of his gigs for the future amongst all of his different adventures in life as well as with other musicians in town. Don't want to forget to remind everybody that tomorrow we will be on air at least at 11 o'clock to interview actor Donnie Bentley. I'm not quite sure if we're going to have a secondary interview. Stay tuned for that on the Sin Chat Corner page or else on my personal page. Last and least of all, I just wanted to mention real quick, Old German Beer Hall. I will be there at 8 o'clock this evening. Mr. Eric Von Clausen is usually there playing his usual Old German Beer Hall gig. He's always a wonderful and phenomenal time. And why? Because, again, I would have to say out of my top 5 musicians in the entire city, he is one of them. He's a class act. He's a class gentleman. And so if you want to come and see me, because I know some of you have been waiting to come and talk to me, feel free to come on down this evening. Thanks again for all of your well wishes, your worries, your cares, and all of the kindness that you bestow to me as friends and listeners. I thank you so very much for listening in today, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. Bye, singing dog. Bye, goal.
I pronounce you.
Bye, wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. Bye, singing dog. Bye, goal.
I pronounce you.
Bye, wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.